Alvin Kamara drama, that is the topic of today's NFL video for you guys. We're going to break down the latest around Kamara, if the Saints are going to pay him if he's back at camp, or if they could actually end up trading him, and of course, where he could end up going. Before we dive into the latest, though, let me know, will the Saints trade Alvin Kamara? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Now, the major NFL storyline last night was that the Saints were open to trading Alvin Kamara. They wanted a first-round pick. It was rather unexpected and induced some chaos. Now, Kamara today, the reports are, is going to return to practice fully, and the two sides will continue to work on an extension. So, in the end, I do think the Saints find a way to pay Alvin Kamara. They have some money available, and he's very important for this current team. Long term, that's a whole different story. But the Saints are in a Super Bowl window right now. And although Alvin Kamara has never been a 200-carry guy, he's always been an 81-catch guy. He has been a key part of the Saints offense. If your goal right now is to make it to a Super Bowl, you kind of need to have Alvin Kamara if you're the Saints, unless you can get creative. Now, the money is the key factor there. There was a report that Kamara was looking for $16 million. Now it's willing to take a little bit under that. That the Saints had offered $12 million per year. That's what Joe Mixon got. What's the sweet spot for Alvin Kamara? That's the big question right now. Is it more of a Zeke contract? Is it more of the Lev Bell, David Johnson? Maybe somewhere in the middle, but I understand why Alvin Kamara wanted $16 million per year. Hey, that's what Christian McCaffrey got. But also, that's what Taysom Hill got from the Saints. Next year, he's going to make about $16.1 million. So if you're Alvin Kamara, you are more important to the Saints than Taysom Hill is. Wouldn't you want at least $16 million per year? Of course, if you're the Saints, you don't want to pay top-end money for a back because that is an easier-to-replace position in the NFL. So what is Alvin Kamara worth per year? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I don't want to give him 16. But if you're hovering between 16 and 12, I think you can find a middle ground. Of course, I think that because somebody leaked the Saints were willing to trade him, and I think that came from the Saints themselves. So with that in mind, we will take you through some potential Kamara destinations because who doesn't love trades? And we want to have fun here at Chat Sports. We'll begin with the Houston Texans, and I'm only half joking here, because Bill O'Brien loves trading for backs. Did it with David Johnson, did it with Duke Johnson. The problem is, at least for Houston, I don't think David Johnson's very good anymore. I don't think he's going to be the guy we saw at his very best in Arizona, and that leaves the two Johnsons and a bunch of nobody else's. So from a need perspective, it makes some sense. The issue for Houston is that because Bill O'Brien is a crazy person, they don't have any draft capital. Now, the Saints wanted a first-round pick. They're not going to get a first-round pick for Kamara, I wouldn't anticipate. So you'd have to do a third and some draft picks or future draft capital. So I wanted to mention Houston. I just don't know how they'd actually be able to pull it off. Now, there were some other destinations that I considered as well. The Patriots, if they wanted to get aggressive. The Bills could be a fun fit, but maybe they just roll with Singletary and Zach Moss. The Bears, if you want to upgrade over Tariq Cohen, could make some sense. In terms of just pure team fit, I would love to see Kamara in San Francisco. I think he would absolutely thrive. And then Washington, who needs a back, but they kind of have a similar, although of course a lesser version in Antonio Gibson, and maybe they shouldn't be buyers right now. Let's go to number 5 on our Alvin Kamara trade destinations list. That is the Seattle Seahawks. Now, on the one hand, Kamara and Wilson, oh my goodness, that is such a fun duo in the backfield, plus Tyler Lockett. In all honesty, from a triplets perspective, that's among the best in the NFL. Seattle, though, does have options at running back for this year. Chris Carson, last year of his contract. Rashad Penny is coming off injury, so who knows about him. Carlos Hyde on a cheap one-year deal. Seattle's fine right now. But if they wanted to get wild and aggressive, Alvin Kamara would be a fun addition to an offense that, if they would just let Russ cook, would be one of the best in the NFL. The issue, though, for Seattle is twofold. Number one, the draft picks. They don't have a first-round pick, and they don't have a third-round pick either. I don't think they would want to move their second-round selection in order to get a running back. I don't think that's something that they really want to pursue. They're so light on draft capital, they would probably try and conserve whatever they have left at this point. That is a potential issue. So I got creative with this trade idea, and feel free to hate on me in the comments section. Seattle, of course, gets Kamara. The Saints get Chris Carson, because if you're trading for Kamara, you don't need two backs. The Saints could use another rotation piece. Much like the Bradley McDougald trade to an extent, I'm including KJ Wright, because if you're trading for Kamara, you got to pay him too. If Seattle wants to make that work from a money perspective, they probably got to move on from KJ Wright. I got them to keep the second-round pick, a fourth-round pick as well. So let me know who you think says no to this particular trade. Type 1 for the New Orleans Saints or 2 for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, our friends over at Fanatics have put some jerseys back on sale. 25% off at chatsports.com/NFL jerseys. So Seahawks fans, go get a Russ one. If you're a Saints fan, you don't think Kamara's getting moved, this might be a good opportunity. 25% off, and Fanatics offers jersey assurance. So if you buy it today or tomorrow or whenever, and then he's traded or released, in a month, 2 months, whatever, they'll ship you out a replacement one. Head over to chatsports.com/NFL jersey. 25% off for a limited time. I will put the link in the comments and in the description. All you have to do is click shop, find your favorite team, and get yourself an awesome new official NFL jersey. I wanted to have fun with some of these ideas here, so I went with the New York Jets. I think the number one goal of a young team, we'll mention this again later, if you have a young quarterback, you should get players that help him. And right now, the Jets don't have enough of those playmakers on offense. The single biggest problem with this hypothetical trade here, you have to include Lev Bell, because the Saints don't want Frank Gore, they don't want P. Ryan right now. And Lev Bell also carries a kind of significant problem with his contract. If the Saints were to trade for him, with the way that Bell's contract is structured, it would cost them about $11 million this year. And at that point, wouldn't you just rather pay the younger, better player in Alvin Kamara? Maybe the Jets could eat some of the money. Maybe they could give up a higher draft pick than you would normally assume the difference between Kamara and Bell is. So my trade package is this, and once again, let me know who you think says no. J for the Jets, S for the Saints. Lev Bell in a second rounder. The contract is a problem for any team that wants to take on Lev Bell right now. In a bubble, I don't think it's a true second-round gap between Kamara and Bell, but once you factor in the contract, well, things get a little bit more complicated. In terms of player fit, I think the Bucs could legitimately be number one on this list. You put Alvin Kamara with Tom Brady, it's like a souped-up mega version of James White. We know how well he fared with Tom Brady. All the Bucs need in terms of offense is a reliable ground game. Kamara would fill that. It'd be a huge upgrade over Jones and McCoy and Keyshawn Vaughn. It'd be a huge addition. It'd be a smart move by Tampa, which is probably why the Saints wouldn't want to do it. And maybe the Bucs could offer the first-round pick, and that could convince New Orleans to pull it off, but I don't know if the Saints want to trade him to an NFC South contender. Now, as we've gone through this top six, you've noticed there are some pretty significant problems for all the teams mentioned. That's why I believe Alvin Kamara will play for the New Orleans Saints in 2020. But I do want to hear from you guys. Let me know. Is it the Saints? Is it somebody else? I'm curious which route you guys go here. So let me know in the comments where you think Alvin Kamara will play in 2020. Number 2, and there is no team out there that has a more significant need in the backfield than the Jacksonville Jags. You look at their depth chart, and it is, oh boy, Chris Thompson can be a third down back. Raquel Armstead might be a passable player. Divine Azigbo was with the Saints, funny enough, as an undrafted free agent last year. They have undrafted free agent James Robinson. So from a need perspective, Jacksonville can make it work. From a cap perspective, they're good there too. And from a draft capital perspective, they can also make it work. If the Saints were to get a first-round pick, Jacksonville might be the most likely fit. Of course, if you're Jacksonville, Alvin Kamara doesn't really help you this year because you're just not going to be very good. So the need is there, but maybe this isn't the right timing for the Jags. Move on now to the Vikings and the Saints in terms of another fun option for New Orleans here. I put this out on my Twitter at WhatGoingDowney, and I was very curious and almost surprised by the results. Who says no? Straight up, Alvin Kamara for Dalvin Cook. Type AK for the Saints because they don't want to trade Alvin Kamara, or DC for the Vikings because they don't want to trade Dalvin Cook. I was a little surprised by how split it was. I would think the Saints say no, but I'm curious what you guys think in the comments. Let's go to number 1 for me. It's the Miami Dolphins. Now, in general, I'm not a huge fan of paying backs because they're a little bit more easily replaceable, but I also want to do everything I can to develop my quarterback. And I think that Alvin Kamara could help Tua develop. So if I'm Miami, I might be a little bit more prepared and willing to pay, much like the Bengals paid Joe Mixon. It's a similar mindset for me. Miami, they have Matt Breida, they have Jordan Howard. Okay, that's a passable duo. They got plenty of draft picks. I mean, they got Houston's first 2 picks this year. They got an extra 4th-round pick as well. In terms of the draft capital, Miami in just as good a shape as Jacksonville, and they got some more money to spend. So if you're Miami and you want to kind of enact your own little Alvin Kamara power duo, here's my offer. Matt Breida and a 2nd-round pick. The Saints can get the higher of the 2 if that's the route that they want to go. I don't think adding Kamara suddenly makes them a playoff obvious contender this year, but I think Kamara, even with an extension, could still fit the timeline enough of a young developing Tua and could help Miami more in the long term. So it's a little bit more of an outside-the-box idea, I think, for Miami, but it is something I would consider if, of course, the Saints don't end up paying Kamara.